Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So we're closing in on the end of the year, brand new year starts. Maybe you're having that thought, this could be the one. This could be the year I maybe change careers. Maybe I find my purpose, whatever my purpose is, because maybe you're not feeling fulfilled, just something is missing. She can definitely help you in all of those areas. She's a career assessment coach and so much more. Joann Perahia joins us on the program. Welcome back, Joann. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you? And thank you for having me on the show.
Great to have you back. And even before we begin, I have a slightly personal question.
Sure.
I love Zoom videos because, you know, either you're in your office, you're in your home, and it's all good. How many cats do you have?
Did you happen to see some roaming around?
I did. I counted. You have three. Okay. So I
three.
counted two. And I'm a big cat person. I adopted a kitten over the summer. And I have another one. Just actually, the other one looks just like one of yours. I'm about to adopt him like any day. He's in a foster right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ours are all adopted.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer on adopting pets. And yes, I am definitely, my husband and I are cat people more than dog people.
Yeah. And I always was. I got a dog and I realized why people love dogs and they're great too, but there's something about cats. And it's, you know, if you give them the right kind of love, and I know we're digressing here, but
I know we are.
You know, my kitten, I open the door, I call his name, I go, Rocco, he comes running, and I say, give me a kiss. Gives me a kiss every single time. You know, they're just like dogs.
I had a cat that fetched. So, but they each have a unique personality and you can train them.
Yep. Absolutely. Wow. Well, you know what? We can be trained as well as humans to a different career path if it's not working for you. I love that you offer so many different levels, right down to even presentations on Zoom. We're more comfortable. Thank you, COVID. But so many people can be uncomfortable in working in Zoom and, you know, just talking with people, knowing that you're on camera, being self-conscious about the way you look and how you speak. But that's just one part of what you offer, right?
Yep. It's one of the ways of helping somebody present themselves, but it's many other things that I offer. You know, of course, the main crux of everything is your purpose. I also, you know, again, wrote a book called The Unabashed Truths the Entertainment Industry Won't Tell You, a guide to the business of acting. So I help people in that career path, but I don't focus just on that. And a lot of it is also because of my own, you know, different career paths. I've worked for corporate America for over 20 years. So I was a figure skating coach. So I know all these different areas. And I like to help people really kind of figure out what is it that I love to do so that I don't have to call it work.
When you were doing, and it's fantastic that you're like the career car. Car was going down the road. I went over here. Well, I'm going to go turn over here. Well, let me go turn over here. And I think that's great.
Well, that's the
Is it time to feed the cats?
It's time to, it's, you know, whatever. No, it's not time to feed the cats, but we just got rid of them.
They just left on their own.
Well, you know what it is yes, I'm that car, but that car may say detour. Okay. So we make, you know, there's a saying that says man plans, God laughs. And basically me as a human, and if I could teach other people, we make this path, and then something changes that trajectory, and all of a sudden we blame ourselves, we get depressed, and you can't. You have to look at every negative as a positive. So my trajectories with my children, with my life, with my career, you know, the way I can say it is I was a paralegal and my firm said, you get to law school, you have a job. So I actually had a job before actually going to law school, but I didn't get in. So I then made another path.
Okay.
And that's how we have to do things, you know, and part of that is really understanding ourselves. You know, it really, and so like I talk about our innate talents and gifts and what are they? Part of understanding ourselves is innate, But then sometimes we need to, hear some motivational speaker, or what I love is I love the purpose cards. I like the self-directed search. And I've helped many people come out of, deep depressions and then, kind of finally find themselves and move along. And
lots of questions here, Joann. So
go for it.
During those times where you pivoted here, you pivoted there career-wise, when you were in those different careers, did you feel fulfilled at that time, or were there a few where you said, it's okay, but this is not my final stop?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because we all have paths, right?
Sure.
And basically sometimes circumstances changes our path. So yes, I had a career for 20 years, gave it up to raise my children. Okay. And then I created a career for myself because they were feature film actors. But then what happens is, and this is a big thing that people are going through, moms that have, left the working world and then trying to get back in.
Yep.
And so the things that I did hate doing, quote unquote, this was after I did my career, afterwards. So it wasn't as distasteful because maybe I had a little wisdom with me. But if you're really doing something that you just can't stand, you still have to find out why you can't stand it. Because sometimes what you can't stand might be how you're processing life. See, this is all, intertwined. And, again, I'm not a therapist. I will always remind my clients, I am not a therapist. I can lead you to the water. But yes, so there were times, but it was at the end of my, I did my career. And so it wasn't as painful as it can be, as painful for somebody who's in their 20s. And they really, hate what they're doing. And part of it is, I'll go back to, you got to pay the bills. I mean, this is the reality of life. So then what do you do? And then that's why you look at your talents and your gifts. You look at what else is out there. How can I change that? Or maybe I can't. So maybe I need to do something outside of work that will help me feel fulfilled.
Interesting point. Yeah. Or that might be even, call it a Band-Aid. So maybe you're doing your job, it's okay, gotta make money, pay the bills, but then you volunteer and you use your talents over here, but you never know if those talents could grow into something else. What you just said, so powerful, especially after COVID, with a lot of people getting back into the workforce. And I have a friend, same situation. She went for a job interview and she was almost reluctant. She's like, maybe it's too far. I don't know. I'm like, go. You need to go. She went and she was like, actually, the facility was really nice. The people were nice. They seemed very impressed with what I had to offer. And they're going to call me back on Monday and I'm going to get more details of what's going on. So they did call back, but it wasn't what she was expecting. They said, you're overqualified and we don't have anything for you right now. We can give you this job, but it's going to be, 3 days a week here, 3 over there. And with kids, it just wasn't the right fit. And she seemed dejected, just like, really, I guess my name and number is there. How do you deal with those rejections?
Good question. Okay. And also, how do you recognize, how do you deal with them? Well, basically, there is the standard answer, you're overqualified. And basically, we should kind of look at that and say, that's the standard answer, that they really didn't want me, but that's okay. I'll find something else. I have things to offer. You really have to build into that self-esteem, just like, okay, I'll bring it into the entertainment industry. Part of the book says, I give a quiz. Can you handle this industry? And part of this industry is you're going to get rejected. So how do you deal with rejection? And of course, again, I'm not a therapist, but part of really dealing with rejection is having that internal but that internal self-esteem that says, you know what, there's a reason why they rejected me. Maybe I really shouldn't be at that job. So that's how you say things. You kind of say, well, okay, time to move on. And maybe, can you learn from it? Maybe, you might learn from the fact that if you constantly hear you're too overqualified, then maybe you need to tone it down. Maybe you need to look elsewhere. And again, like I said, women who are going back into the work world, okay, and I have tons of experience on that, maybe in an arena that, it won't work, then you've got to take your skills and repurpose them. And then again, back to purpose, back to the cards, back to the self-directed search.
In dealing with rejection, and by the way, I totally agree with you. Everything is a learning experience. So, even in her situation, you got a chance to go on a job interview, build up your self-confidence. It's been a while since you probably had a job interview in itself, meeting people. You never know. You might get a call in a month from now. Guess what?
That's right.
You don't know the future.
That's right. And that is also that's the whole networking part of it. You go on the interview, it was really interesting. And again, I was at a job. You might have been around when there was the scandal at the New York City Parking Violations Bureau in the 80s. And basically what happened is I met a woman who I am still dear friends with. And there she was after after 24 hours being there, she goes, come with me. We got to go to the Xerox machine. I got to copy my resume. I said, wait a minute. You just got this job. She goes, oh, you got it. Best lesson I ever learned. She taught me. She goes, you got to keep yourself crisp. You got to go on that interviews because you don't know what will happen. Again, it's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you.
Yeah.
You might have impressed them in one way, just like in the entertainment industry. Go on that audition. Okay, because you never know what they will call you back for. Could be something totally different.
Yeah. You can't look at it as a waste of time.
No,
it's everything is another ring on the ladder. And my mom always used to say, the best time to find a job is when you have a job.
Thank you. When you don't need one.
Yeah.
Is when you have one. And then and that really is true, because that desperation, it's like dating. It's that desperation shows through. And does anybody want anybody who's desperate?
No. Yeah, no.
The
first one that's going to get thrown back. For sure. So let's focus on one industry. What about sales? I mean, it's so big. It's a very personalized industry. It includes Zoom many times. As somebody that helps people with their career, any thoughts? Pick one. Things that you need to know even for sales.
Well, for sales, I think the first thing that you really need to know, because if we go to the self-directed search and you come out as if you're creative, okay, social, and entrepreneurial, and I always investigative. I always confuse the two. Basically, let's focus on social. If you're not social, and I can even read you some of the qualities of what it takes to say, okay, I'm social. I mean, I used to say to people, I'm not social, or, you started going into, well, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. And that's not Myers-Briggs, that's somebody else. And basically people misunderstand that. That is really how you process stress. When I've had a long day, and stress is not necessarily bad, but when I've had a long, hard day, how do I make myself de-stress? A social person wants to go to the bar and go drinking. Okay. An introvert wants to sit and listen to music and be quiet and be by themselves. So people get confused on that, because I used to get confused on it. I used to say, I'm not social. Well, because you are. Someone's trying to come in. Okay. So let's look at something. And some of the qualities, like for being a salesperson and what social is. So one of them is, can you build relationships? Here's my purpose card. Okay. And that's something you would choose from. Do I love doing that? Okay. Does it come easy? Well, if it doesn't come easy, but I love doing it, you put it in the pile because what I do is I make you choose. I make you put them into piles. Another one of social is resolving disputes. So do you like to do that? Again, sales.
These are really, I got to tell you, Joann, these are really cool.
Oh, they're phenomenal. I mean, and I guess that's my passion and my hopes to really spread it, because right now we are living in really tough times, and in times that we've never seen before. We have different generations of work ethics, and we're all sitting there going, oh, well, I want to be happy in this. I don't want to do that. I want to go to my yoga class. Well, then if that's the case, then figure out a life that you can do that with.
As you're pulling those cards, I'm thinking of people that applies to, and maybe not. Like that first card, building relationships. I have a friend, she's fantastic at that. Resolving conflicts, not so much. And her biggest challenge is she should be making a lot more money. She has this job, that job, that job, that job. I'm like, do you realize that you bring people together, connect people together, do fundraisers all the time, but you're not benefiting. You need to take care of yourself. But she doesn't. I think she has an abundance block. There's something there.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's an abundance block. It's a self-worth block. It's, again, it's all about, again, a lot of this stuff is about yourself. That's why I would recommend a book by Sir Ken Robinson, who's passed away, an educator. And it's a book called Finding Your Element. And it really discusses that, in order to do this stuff, we really have to have self-knowledge. And we really, no matter which way we do it, do you want to do it with a therapist, or do you want to just go read some really good books? But you should send her to me, because that's, if you've got all these talents and all these gifts and you're doing all this stuff and you really should be making more money, then you got to go for it. And then you got to find out how you can do that.
Yeah. And feel that you're worthy, and I think those cards do help you. Once, like a couple of more layers to make it clear. When you say, yeah, that is me, that's kind of me. That's definitely me. That's not me.
There you go. That's the 3 choices. And then we sieve it down to 5 cards.
How many cards do you do, initially?
It's 52 cards.
It is.
And
okay.
And then what you have to do, because they're all broken out by the personality types. And so what you do is you go through the first set and you say, and those are the 3 choices. Sometimes, because of time, I say to people either not me or definitely me, the middle of the road. Because what happens is, you go to the middle of the road, but what I'm going to make you discard to go through the next step is the things that were, not really me, and not me. And then we have to go through it again and sift it out. And then it's really choices that you have to make. Which one's better? Some things overlap. Sometimes you have to look at it and say, okay, well, which one do I want to give up? So that you do come back down to those 5 cards, which then bring you into those personality types.
Wow. Can we pull a few more? I'd love to hear some of the other ones you got going on there.
Put on mine. Okay. Getting participation. Now,
how do we mean that? Getting people to participate?
Yes,
okay.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
This one, I kind of am like, I don't like this one, but it's an okay one. And I think I've mentioned so many times that sometimes I do a Google search on what these terms mean so that we really can grab it out. But one's awakening spirit. Now, that doesn't mean you're telling people about God. Okay. It's just, do you like to motivate people and help them really realize whatever it is? You're on a project. Oh, wait a minute. We should be doing it that way. That kind of thing. Again, all of these are bringing people together.
I got from that exactly what you said. You're one of those people that bring something out in others. You wake them up. You wake up their spirit. It's positive.
Yes.
And then you know what? If you're an introvert or slightly one, that might not apply to you.
No, that might not apply to you. And again, it can be brought back to the salesperson. What are you doing when you're selling? You're awakening somebody to your product or service.
Absolutely.
Another one is giving care. No, you can take that out if you want, again, but that's a social characteristic. Healing wounds. So again, social. A lot of social people are counselors, social workers, agents, that kind of thing. So that's where those come in. And you may say, oh, I don't want to heal somebody's wounds, please.
No, put it in the other pile. But
Right,
then again,
exactly.
you may aspire to be a nurse, an EMT, or
That's right.
my best friend. I never thought he would be doing this, but he was always in the printing industry. Obviously, the printing
Oh,
industry went away, but he always was a volunteer at a fire department, and now for over a decade and a half, he's an EMT,
there you go.
and that's his calling. And
That's right.
sometimes on the hottest day of the year, he's transporting patients, and he's going like distances of like 100 miles. I'm like, dude, like that, why do they send you all the way over there? He goes, that's just the job, and he never complains about it, but healing wounds.
Because he loves it. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
And also remember, you don't always have to stick with the same thing.
Sure.
Our lives change. Even our likes change. I mean, if we didn't change, well, then I'll come back to my whole marriage thing. If we didn't change, we would be stagnant. And as human beings, we do change. And then sometimes we have to change because the situation around us changes.
Yep. But
So
they say that you change every 5 years. You reevaluate your life, whatever's going on every 5 years. And if you've ever heard the 7-year itch,
yep,
in marriages, relationships,
that's right.
It's the 7-year itch because you evaluated that 5-year mark, and then it takes 2 for you truly to decide what you're going to do at that point.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I always say, we'll redo these cards every 5 years, kind of, because we change. And, that you got it. I mean,
the cards are really cool. And you know what, when you said 52, I'm like 52, but there's a reason for that, because you dig deep, you keep going deep. Yeah.
That's right.
And then you have to whittle it down to 5. So
that's right. That's right. And it's knowledge, and again, there's a statement that says, knowledge is power, but self-knowledge is empowerment.
Oh, I love that.
So you do, and it takes work. This is not, this is not easy, but if you really want to do your purpose, and if you really want to feel at least somewhat satisfied with what's going on in your life, you need to do this. This is because then if you're not doing it, then you're not helping other people. Because remember, the whole point of this is to find what you love to do and give it away. And
be compensated for giving it away. But
well, yes, no. Okay, I know yes, you have.
I always remind you that.
Yeah, I know you do. You do. It really is. Yes, be compensated. Yes. No free stuff. No.
Joann, give me those cards for free. Hand them over right now. No, you worked on them. They're great. Yeah, it is empowering, and it's interesting when you think like we picked just any occupation, but sales. When you think of the people that are most effective in the sales arena, like they're checking all the boxes that you're mentioning. That's but right. I always think too, everybody, including salespeople, has a style. That's the right. way that they make it work for them. I know one in particular. She's very effective. I've worked with her for literally decades. She never leaves the room unless it's on a high point. She'll wait for whatever it is, just that she'll smile. She's out the door.
Well, but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. And that's a good sales training.
Yes.
Skill to have. You never leave, even in corporate America, when you're writing an email and an email is kind of negative, or one of my old staff members says, whenever Joann starts the email off as "this is great," however, like, oh, there it comes. But I still ended it with a positive, and that's beautiful. That's a very good sales skill or life skill.
Yeah, I've actually weaned myself off the word "but," because whenever you put the word "but," change "but" to "and." Think about that.
And no, you're right. And that's what I did do that when this was happening. Of course, this was a long time ago. But it was just funny because I then did change it a little bit.
Yeah. But isn't it interesting? Like, you don't forget those things. Like, you just brought me back to a time when I was in my 20s, and there was an office manager. It was a big job. I got the job I wanted very early. Her name was Esther. And she would start off when she wanted you to do something, fill a form out, whatever. It would always start out with, "Would you be so good enough to?" I was like, oh, what do you try? I'm not good enough. Like just the wording, but I never forgot that.
Yeah, that's kind of like, would you be?
Never forgot it though. Like that, and that just it almost starts off with a negative, like telling somebody.
It does start, and and that's the other thing. We can't do things, negatively. One of the best things I had learned from my own son, who is in sales. Basically, when someone says, "Thank you for doing this," you don't say "You're welcome." Say "My pleasure."
Yeah, yeah, and never say "No problem."
Right.
What the word "no" is a negative. The word problem is a negative. And it's not meant that way. I get it. What you're saying is it was no trouble. No trouble at all. Right. But trouble's a negative word too. So
there you go.
Yeah, the little nuances you think about.
Yeah.
So like good stuff today. Like we really got kind of deep here. How does somebody work with you? They go to your website. What's your website?
It's very hard. Joann Perahia. So JoannPerahia.com. I mean, you can even just Google me, go to the website, call me. I mean, my telephone number is on the website. Look around and we can schedule a free consultation. And then we figure out, well, what do we need to do?
Yeah. And you need to find your purpose. If, and again, perfect time, new year coming up. If just somebody's thinking that this is not the end for me. I got so much more to offer, but I don't know what it is. I haven't quite figured it out.
Yep.
You can help them with that. Yeah. All right, Joann. Great talking with you today.
All right. Same here. Thank you again, Steve. Yes.
I'm glad we did the Zoom thing. It's, talking on a phone is great, but
this is better.
You feel connected. Yeah. And look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.